All right. Looks like audio and shit's good. Lance, you want to go ahead and do the introduction for us?
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay. Welcome to the Lance and Ray podcast, featuring Lance and also Ray. Today we have a special guest, Sunny SSBM, local Dallas player, who has, I've been told, an exciting announcement. Now, I don't know what this
There's a very
announcement
exciting
is.
announcement coming up.
Yeah, please tell me. Let's start with that. That's the big thing.
All
Sunny,
right.
tell us what you'd like to tell us.
Okay. Later this year, October 18th through 20th, in Dallas, we'll be hosting an enormous tournament called the Third Strike Open, 3SO. And I'd like everyone to know that we intend on flying Genki out, the Alex player, Alex legend, Co-op Cup champion, Slayer of MOV. Uh, we're flying him out for the tournament. It'll be a 3-day event, double elimination bracket. We're planning on hosting other events as well, like teams, exhibitions, and I can guarantee you that if you're looking to travel, play Third Strike, and play as many games as possible, this event should absolutely be on your radar.
Yeah, and right now,
Wow, that's really exciting.
right now we have Ginky locked in for sure. But we're
Mhm.
working on other Japanese players as well. So
Yes, we are. So our intentions are to fly out another player as well. There are a couple of people that are very interested from Japan. Uh, we can't guarantee anything yet on a second player, but we're working towards it. And stay tuned, for future announcements regarding the tournament. As more players get confirmed and more players show interest and get their flights booked, we'll be making announcements about that on our Twitters. And yeah, just stay tuned moving forward. This is going to be an event you do not want to miss.
and
You
where's this?
said October 18th through 20th, is that right?
October 18th through 20th. So it's going to be held at our local venue here in Dallas Fort Worth Arcade at Central Arts, which is a nonprofit organization. But also they have a bunch of arcade cabs. We have a Versus and a Blast there already. We meet up there weekly to play games. Hang out, chill. And for this event, we're collaborating with Michael Beltran and of course Ray. And I can guarantee minimum 6 cabs, all in pristine condition, third strike boards, and we're working on getting upwards of 9.
Yeah, Japanese head
Wow,
to
nine
head.
cabinets.
9 cabs.
Japanese head
Okay,
to
but you
head.
said what was the
City
guarantee?
six.
The guarantee is 6, upwards of 9.
Wow, 6 cabinets. That is a lot of cabinets.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you're gonna have plenty of games here. This is a private venue as well. So coming here, you're not gonna have to worry about anyone else. Any excessive people, getting in the way or whatever. It's just only third strike, only people that are dedicated to the game to come out and play. That's it.
Okay. Now you said October 18th to 20th. This sounds like a 3-day weekend.
This
So I
is. This is.
imagine there might be obviously a singles tournament, right? What else?
Yeah.
What other
Yeah.
things could they expect to see on this 3-day weekend tournament?
Yeah, so absolutely the singles double elimination bracket with top 8 on Sunday. We're going to be running double elimination 3v3 teams. Uh, we're going to be running exhibitions, with these high caliber players flying out from Japan. I'd like to see how the best in America stack up in long sets to them and get them recorded. So love to do that. And there's a couple more things in the pipeline. I kind of want to make sure that we get things situated and make sure the formats for them are good. But yeah, that's on the agenda right now. We have 2 streaming cabs. Like Saturday when there's a lot of matches going on, expect that we're going to record all of the highest caliber ones that we can and just have a lot of footage.
Yeah, so it'll be
Okay.
streaming
Now,
from Arcade.
go ahead, Ray.
Oh yeah, it'll be streaming from Arcade, their Twitch channel.
Mhm.
Channel. After we're done here with the podcast, I'll make a big Twitter post with kind of all the information that we have thus far, as well as the
Yeah.
Start GG link at the very end. But Arcade will be hosting one of the streams, and I'll be hosting the other one as well for my own caps that I'm providing. So, shit ton of footage, shit ton of players. It's gonna be a great weekend. So, what else you got for us, Sunny?
Uh, that's the bulk of it for the announcement. Really, Dallas has missed a big annual tournament since the last Jazzy finale kind of slipped through the cracks
Yeah.
at free play. But I want to bring that back for us. You know, we are one of America's hubs for Third Strike, and we deserve to have an event that people want to travel to, and I want to facilitate that for us.
Now you said arcade. Now we have a video of the arcade venue. I'm gonna go ahead and share that. If that, yeah.
Go ahead and pop it
Yeah,
All
over.
right, let me go ahead and let me share that.
So the thing about arcade is it's actually ran by a Third Strike player here, local player, Hot Dog
Mhm.
Emoji, aka Cedric. So
Cedric.
he's gonna cater to us as much as we want because he's just as much a player as everyone else is. He's a player first before anything else. So, but yeah, check out the venue here.
All right, let me go ahead and play it.
Yeah, go for it.
Start from the beginning.
So all the space will be dedicated to Third Strike. So we'll be dealing with-
Yeah, everything. You know, like some of the tables and stuff you're seeing here, and like this, like collapsing wall or whatever. You know, we're gonna move that out of the way for as many cabs in a row as we can. But yeah,
Wow,
it's
what
just
a
a super chill spot. Looks pretty dope.
You got the
If I
casting couch.
if I don't say so myself.
Casting couch.
Casting couch. Yeah, that is the casting couch used for Naughty America. So
Wow, look at all these players diligently grinding sets.
and a dog.
You know, this is the kind of dedication that you can expect when you come to Dallas to play Third Strike. There's me, focused, watching any training mode.
Yeah, and there was a dog.
Yeah, there is a dog, so you can come say hi to Mazzy.
And then
But only at the Third Strike Open.
And then not shown too as well is there's actually an additional venue next door as well. It's a massive like open area where you can have concerts and things like that. So we're gonna the plan and the goal right now is for Sunday when we're doing top 8, we'll have the cabs next door on stage, have the introduction, plenty of places for people to sit. Like it's a great venue. So
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, totally private. Just show up. Only Third Strike players there.
cool.
Now, I see here in the chat that it'll be Cho's birthday. Now, Dallas has a long history of Third Strike tournaments that coincide with birthday parties. Can we speak to the possibility of having a chosen birthday party at this event?
I'm down.
Yeah. So everyone bring Chosen a gift.
Okay.
You know, make sure that we're celebrating his birthday properly. This is just a little joke. You know, Free Play kind of had like birthday parties scheduled during like the Jazzy finale. We're just kind of poking fun at it, and you know, just letting y'all know that there's not going to be any kind of interference with the tournament. Just going to be only Third Strike.
Who's that handsome guy in a cowboy hat, dude? Jesus Christ, that guy's hot.
Oh wow, yeah. Who is that guy?
I thought I saw him. I recognized him from Brokeback Mountain, so
Oh
he might be a
my
movie
God.
star.
Fuck off. But yeah, any questions or anything you guys have from the chat thus far?
Yeah. Any words from the stream? This is, you know, this is going to be one of the biggest tournaments of the year. This is going to be very important. I would strongly suggest you consider coming to this event. You know, you're not going to have a lot of other opportunities to play Japanese players.
Free room and board for the weekend. Depends. So I'm gonna be the one hosting the Japanese that week when they come in. So they're gonna be staying at my house. So I have to kind of think how that's gonna work because I have 2 separate rooms. I don't really mind if people sleep on my floor in the living room or wherever. But yeah, reach out to me and I'll try to make accommodations the best I can. My plan.
Yeah,
too,
if you're interested in coming and like housing is an issue or like lodging, please let us know. Communicate with us. We can maybe try to work something out. We have a lot of local players. I'm sure some people wouldn't mind, you know, like having people over for the weekend just to facilitate them traveling.
Yeah, definitely. There's plenty of people here in DFW. We're all 10-15 minutes within each other or within the proximity of each other. So yeah, just reach out to anybody, your local DFW player, and we'll figure that out. Just make sure you guys come out. So
Yeah, no one can stay at my house. No,
Kid Lance.
I have a ferocious dog that will bite your face off.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Also too,
Lance doesn't know anything about Southern hospitality, being from Alaska, so.
Yeah, in Alaska, if you step onto my property, we just shoot you, right? And then we just leave you in the snow. You thaw out during the winter, you know, when the summer comes, and the police come and collect your body. So that's how it works there. But there's no snow in Texas, which is the only reason that doesn't happen here as well.
I also want to mention too that this is a completely player-funded tournament.
Yes.
Yeah, this is as grassroots, as you can possibly get. We're providing the caps amongst the community. Cedric, another Third Strike player, is providing his venue. The money that we're using to fly out the Japanese are coming out of our own pockets.
Yes.
Like Sonny's
Yes. This is
personally,
not an event for profit. This is totally grassroots. We're funding it entirely ourselves, and we're not really expecting, any kind of like exorbitant venue fee or something like that. Like Cedric is more than willing to have us play there 3 days. Very, very, very reasonably priced. I believe we haven't really settled on a venue fee figure yet, but we'll have more details moving forward.
yeah. And then we're gonna start doing local tournaments and fundraising, donations, and things like that, just to try to raise money to get another player out.
Yeah.
We're pretty close towards getting another player out. I want to say like maybe a little bit halfway there. But who that second player is, we're still kind of working through, and then working on the funding portion. So there will be a donation link. I'll put up on Twitter as well if you guys are coming out. You want to see play some of the Japanese players, because trips to Japan are fucking expensive right now. I can tell you that. So,
Yeah.
it's much easier to travel within the U.S. and get to play some of the high-level top Japanese players versus like actually going to Japan. So, like any donations or anything you guys want to make, absolutely more than welcome to do so. So
tonight on Twitter, they can find the Start GG link on you're going to tweet that tonight.
Yeah, we'll have the Start GG link up tonight, along with some of the information that we have now. And then just go ahead and follow myself, Sunny, and Lance for updates. As updates come along, we'll be making those. Show just ask any candidates for a secondary player. There's actually a lot of
There
players.
are absolutely candidates.
Yeah, you want to throw some names out there, Sunny? I guess.
So I suppose I could. So we have players like Mimura, Shinta,
Yamoda.
Darun, all very interested in coming. I can't promise anyone yet, and I don't want to, like throw out any expectations or anything like that, right? So, but definitely in the coming weeks, within the next month, I would say, if we have a second player lined up, we will absolutely announce it, and we'll have them booked.
Fly out,
Awesome.
Lance. Yeah, Lance. Well, I mean, Lance can't drive there. Maybe we do have to fly him. So. But yeah, we're working on a second player right now. So, but yeah, it's gonna be a great weekend, boys. Hyped to be throwing a Third Strike tournament. Hype for DFW to kind of like have something to look forward to as well, because our scene's so big that we have so many players, right? Like
We do. We're one of the most active scenes in the country.
Yeah, and Sunny just kind of wanted to do this to like kind of get back to the Dallas community when it comes to Third Strike. So yeah, we have the means to do so it's going to be a great weekend. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let me recap the facts I have that I've observed from this so far. October 18th to 20th, 3-day tournament. Genki is confirmed. A second Japanese player is in the works. We're pretty far on funding. We'll be getting the rest of the way there, then confirming that second player. There are 6 guaranteed Third Strike setups, cabinet, right?
Yep.
CPS3 cabinet. Trying to get to 9, but 6 are guaranteed. There'll be exhibitions on one of the days and a 3v3 double M team tournament as well. Does that all check out?
Yep.
Correct.
Sounds great.
Correct. That's what we have for you so far. Stay tuned. Follow the social medias, Twitch, Twitter. We will be updating you guys as soon as we have more information on the tournament.
Nice.
Cool. All right.
Okay. And tonight the Smash GG page will be up. Sorry, the Start GG page will be up. And as well as if you want to contribute to the second player, flying them in, Ray will have a donation link as well.
Yep.
Gil will be allowed. Yeah, no, Gil is a allowed character. So.
Should we make an
okay, switch it. So there's our announcement. Now we're gonna switch on over, and just kind of interview Sunny in general. So so far every episode we've interviewed someone. So welcome, Sunny. You are our guest on the Lance and Ray podcast.
Thank you for welcoming me. I'm excited to be here. I've been a big fan since day one. And yeah.
Lance,
that makes a lot of sense.
Lance, stop sharing your screen.
Oh yeah, sorry. There we go. Okay. Okay, so first question. I just kind of want to get your Third Strike life story. Of course, Ray and I are somewhat familiar with it, but many of the people watching may not be. Tell us how you started Third Strike. Tell us about your journey, where you are now, and where you're headed.
Yeah, so I started Third Strike in like 2019 or so. Probably like the first half of the year or something like that. Uh, it was around the time where like Melee was just not doing it for me. I don't know, like I got really into that game for a really long time, and eventually I just hit a point where I was not having fun with the game anymore. But I love the idea of fighting games, and Third Strike always seemed like the most interesting one to me. I loved how parry kind of influenced the ground game. I like Street Fighter, like all the different normals that you can use, the different like traps that you can put people in with spacing. It just seemed really cool, and I had never played a fighting game before, and it seemed more accessible than like something like a Marvel or something like that, right? So I picked it up, fell in love with the game, honestly, as I kept playing. But I think really what kind of just solidified me in the game and just made me stick with it was having a local scene. When I first picked it up, I didn't really think that there was going to be anyone to play with. I just figured, oh, it's like this dead ass old game that no one plays, but it seems cool and people play it online. I'll give it a shot, see what's up. But then I realized just how many people we had here playing. Like I didn't even know we had like an arcade locally to play at. And that first year, I met like all the DFW guys. Ray, of course, Ben, Eddie, and this guy named Yuki. And
What a bum,
it was
dude.
it was really really cool to just have a player of that caliber locally to play and learn from. And it was just it was too much for me to avoid and want to do anything else, and it just hooked me that way, I would say.
Okay, tell me about
Um,
that first year. Like, yeah, tell a little, what was it like? What was the first, that first year you were playing? Because I get the sense that not only was that your first year, but that was like the beginning of the modern Dallas scene.
yeah,
You
yeah, it
all
really was.
coalesced.
I just kind of coincidentally started playing the game around the same time that the rest of Dallas was kind of getting back into it and playing it free play. Like Free Play Arlington was like the big location that we all met up at. And like you said, it definitely was true. That was kind of the start of like the modern Dallas scene as we know it today. That's when like all the older players started meeting up again, and like new people kind of started joining the game. Me and Jackson around the same time. And yeah, that first year was a whole lot of fun. Like it's really just a lot of like learning basic concepts. Like I had never played a fighting game before. Like uh, just kind of getting familiar with it. Learning how to play on stick alone was, like its own trouble, right? Like I had never played on an arcade stick, so it was just a lot of practicing execution, becoming familiar with like different things in the game and common situations. Uh, and traveling a little bit, we went to Texas Showdown. It's kind of just across the street, as far as Texas goes, but that was a hell of a lot of fun. Um, and then after that first year, we had a new arrival in Dallas. Someone in this very call, the Lance Show, moved
Oh,
down to DFW and started coming out and playing with us more. Uh, got the scene more active. Started hosting like the first to five nights at Free Play, and I think that's kind of when we started like ramping up and like competitiveness and playing more. Uh, yeah, it was all up from there. I would say that was kind of like the end of the first year. And then kind of moving forward, Dallas had like the Jazzy finales, right? 2 years in a row, we had everyone come down to us to play, which was awesome for me. Like I didn't have to go anywhere, right? Like everyone came to me to come play, and that's around the same time we had like some of the newer comers that are even newer than myself. Like uh, Alan, Max, Cho, Jason now, right? And the scene has just been steadily growing since that point, I would say. Uh, and now we have the community that we have today, where we have like some of the most active players in the country, the most amount of people touching the game, playing offline all the time. It really kind of just grew organically out of like that little free play scene that we had.
Yeah, we're lucky in that regards, right? Like we have places to play. There's a lot of scenes in the U.S. where it's like people may have the desire to play the game, but they don't have access to it like we do.
Absolutely.
Here in Dallas, it's like every single night you can get games if you want to. You can get arcade games if you want to. Like you can go to arcade, you can go to free play, you can go to my house. Like there's just places to have access to the game in that type of community. So very, very, very lucky in that regards for us coming up in that type of scene.
Yeah.
'Cause people
It's
don't have that luxury.
we're extremely fortunate.
Yeah, it's interesting to me, right? Because like, when I lived in Alaska and I thought about third strike scenes of America, like, as an out Alaskan, you're kind of on the outside looking in, and I kind of started a few years after everyone else, and so I'm like, I'm hungry, trying to compete, and I'm thinking like, where do I need to go? Like, where are the best players? Dallas was not going to be on my map, right? Like, I'm thinking L.A., New York City, maybe Doylestown someday, just the good players there. Of course, Austin, right? That's kind of like
Yeah.
what's on my mental map in terms of like what are the best scenes.
What the fuck is
Um,
a Doylestown? What is that?
Doylestown's in Pennsylvania. It's got like Flair, Therapist,
Oh, okay,
and
okay.
Anka started there, I think.
No offense to Doylestown. I didn't know what the
No,
fuck that
no,
was.
they're kind of like a hidden,
Hidden gem. Okay. Okay. I
hidden
know
gem.
Therapist,
Yeah,
yeah, Flair, all those guys. Those are they're G's, but I didn't know what a Doylestown was. My apologies. Continue.
yeah, yeah. So Dallas has been kind of a perfect storm, in my opinion, in the last 5 years, right? Like suddenly there was free play, and free play had some ups and downs, but overall it was a positive resource for the community. It helped us build this big infrastructure of player base. You have Yuki Spencer, who was, in terms of talent, one of the best players outside of Japan easily, right?
Yeah.
Not even,
Not even
so,
close.
and he's
Yeah.
willing, especially in those first couple of years, to like take a bunch of you under his wing and start coaching you.
Yeah.
You did touch on this guy, the Lance Show, who moved to Dallas. He sounds very talented, and very handsome.
It's all right.
You
Yeah.
forgot
Alright.
about one more person too. White David.
White David.
AKA
Yeah, the other.
the Land Slayer, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of feel like, and there were just these different. It was like to me, it's like a lot of moving pieces all happening simultaneously. You can't say like one person built this on their back, right? Like
Yeah.
you played a part.
It really was a grassroots effort. Like it was all of us contributing, all of us showing up all the time,
Mhm.
all of us working to improve with each other that kind of built what we have today. And it's such an organic growth, and I'm so grateful to have what we have here. Because like you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of places in the country that if you're interested in Third Strike, you just don't have an option to play offline or a community to interact with. And I feel like that's an invaluable resource that really can't be overstated.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
mean,
no.
not even just playing, right? Like, it's like playing and everything is great, but like most of us here in DFW, like we talk every day. Not even like about the game,
Yeah.
just like hang out outside of the game. I feel like we've done like a really good job at creating a community for people, and then Third Strike is the focus, but there's other things too, right? Like we're always hanging
Yeah.
out and doing things. So, just yeah, very much community driven. So
Yeah, I think that's a cool part of the Dallas community, right? Is that it's not just we all meet up once a week to play this game. I mean, it really is like everyone in the community are like friends,
Yeah.
Like we'll play Among Us
Yeah.
nights, or we played Left 4 Dead 2 for a while. That was
Well,
really
Lance will beg us to play Among Us, and eventually we'll play.
when are we playing Among Us? When are we playing Among
he's
Us?
so bad at it too. I don't know why. he
You're,
keeps saying
you're
that.
all worse than me at Among Us. I don't know
Oh my
why you're
God.
lying like
I
this.
played once and dominated everybody and left.
You did not. No,
I
that is
played-
not
I played
correct.
the steel hammer
Yeah.
move right there, just won and dipped.
Yeah,
And,
I like
that is great. Like we have this local community that like we're friends with outside of the game, but like I don't want that to detract from what we have and how focused we are.
Yeah.
We play all the time. We record our sets. We discuss strategies with each other, and we all try to collaboratively improve. Like we are very, very improvement focused
Yeah.
here, even outside of like the community that we have. But it makes it more desirable to interact with the fact that we're all friends as well.
Okay. Next question. Why? So you played Ken in Third Strike. Yeah. Why do you play Ken? We'll start with that. Why do you play Ken?
So, picking up the game, obviously, like it's my first fighting game. I've never played a fighting game in my life. So, Ken seemed like an obvious choice to learn the game with, right? Like that's what everyone tells you. Like you're picking up Third Strike. you ask someone that has a little bit of experience with it, like, hey, who do I play, right? They're all gonna tell you Ken. You should learn Ken first, relatively simple character, like kind of like prioritizes the basics of the game, like I'm learning all like the different motion inputs and fighting games and stuff like that. And the longer I played Ken, the more I really kind of fell in love with the character archetype. I like that Ken gets to attack early. I like that Ken does a lot of meterless damage. I like to to have the opportunity to set the pace of the match immediately whenever I want to. But at the same time, Ken is extremely good defensively as well, right? Like you can turtle with Ken extremely hard. You can be very difficult to hit. You can outspace people with your moves. You can whiff punish things. You have your Jinrai, right? You can get meaningful damage mid-screen. And he just felt like a complete package to me. And I just really love those types of characters, kind of like all-rounders that like really get me to improve at all aspects of the game. And I like that Ken does that.
Don't forget EX Satsu, dude. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
you're So
Super
And
jumpy
EX
spots,
broken.
dude.
Yeah, EX.
Dude,
fucking-
that move is like, if you just like, I don't know what to do. Okay, I'm just gonna super jump EX
Yeah,
Let's see if they happen to jump. Oh, sick, they did. Okay, awesome.
fat damage. Oh man.
I agree. I think Ken's an interesting character because he's obviously very strong, but at the same time, of all the strongest characters, he has like the least abusable offense. Does that make sense?
Ooh,
Right?
this is what I like. Downplay my character more, please.
I'm not. I
Downplay
mean,
my stuff.
Ken's really good. Ken is,
I can't
Ken's
listen to this.
insanely
I
good.
can't listen to this. This
No,
is,
I understand what you're saying though, right? Like he doesn't have a command grab, right? So like
Yeah.
you can hold guard against him and it's very effective. Like he doesn't have unreactable overheads, right? So like he's not gonna just like do insane damage like for nothing, right? Like
Yeah.
it's definitely difficult to open people up on defense sometimes with Ken if they're very disciplined and they have a strong guard. So that's I guess one of the struggles, so to speak, of Ken, right? But it really develops the foundation of your offense and your strike throw game, and I like that.
Yeah, frame traps as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
low jab, throw. Next time I do low jab, wait a second,
Low strong, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff like that, or low jab, short, or low jab, wait,
Mhm.
short. There's a lot of like, when you play offense with Ken, you learn a lot of like timing based stuff. Okay, I'm gonna delay attack here to beat guard jump, or I'm gonna throw him here, and then I'm gonna like try to bait the throw, and maybe I'll tick and then bait the throw. There's a lot of that, but he doesn't have like, because all the best characters, if we talk Yun, Yang, Makoto, have command grabs. Chun-Li essentially has a command grab.
Yeah.
That half screen throw. Dudley just has a high-low that's so good that you have to play that game. Ken is of those characters. He only has strike throw, and so learning offense with Ken first. If you're going to play strong characters, there's nothing like super obvious to abuse of like, okay, I can beat people better than me with this. Like damage output, of course, right? If you hit a delay, strong fear, Shoryu, okay, that's going to do a lot of damage. Ken is still really great. You don't want to downplay him too much, but yeah, in terms of learning offense, that can be one of the hills that you have to start with, and I would say,
Still working on it, but
yeah, I mean, of course, and I guess I'm just saying, like, basically, Ken offense is, if you learn to do it well, like, you're going to be well situated to go to other characters, because those skills that you acquire there are going to apply to everyone.
Yeah. I mean, everyone can run some type of like strike throw offense, right? And learning that kind of foundation really helps you, learn the rest of the cast.
Don't forget the Jinrai mix-ups too.
Yeah.
Super honest.
Okay, Jinrai set plays just fucked up. Let's
Yeah,
no downplaying there.
There has been
She's
several
good.
games where I'm like, okay, I get knocked down once and the round's over. Okay, cool. Next one.
Yeah. He has a lot of like reversal Jinrai stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's something he has. A lot of other characters don't have. Obviously,
a lot of things that would otherwise be safe are just not safe on Ken.
Right. Yeah, you just get the super.
Great character. Very.
Yeah. That's why I
If you
put
didn't play Ken, who else would you play?
I would definitely play Yoon. Genajin is so stupid and it's hilarious.
Yeah.
No, I think it's really cool. I like how you can interact with the neutral of the game with dive kicks, like delaying dives, whiff dives, like really deep dive kicks. I like mixing people up with Genajin, like having combos like at different times when you Zenpo people. I I enjoy the character archetype of Yun.
The best thing about Yun is like, you're getting rushed down, they're pressuring you, and you jump away and you activate and you just fucking see, all right, now they gotta fucking run backwards, run away from me. It's just the
Yeah.
best feeling in the world. Like you activate and it's like,
You
all
just-
right, what's up now, bitch? What's up? What's up? Talking all that shit. Oh,
So yeah, I would say Yun if I didn't play Ken.
Okay. Strong character. Yeah, two strong characters.
I like
Ken
top
and Yun.
tiers. What can I say?
Okay, tell me why you like top tier, Sonny. What is your philosophy about tier whoring? How do you pick a character in a video game?
Well, first I try to figure out who's good in the video game, right?
Okay.
I played a lot of games, a lot of games, and one thing you learn playing competitive video games is that playing bad characters sucks. It's not fun. You usually have like way less things that you can do in the game. Some matchups can boil down to like just a couple of options, or like abusing certain moves or tactics on you that's difficult to overcome. And yeah, just usually have way more fun when I'm playing like the better characters in whatever game I'm playing.
Okay. No, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm on the same page. I just
Yeah.
showed up to Third Strike and picked the best character. Yeah, why work harder when you can work smarter, right? Now you said you played a lot of other games. Tell me about some of those other games you played. And do you? Okay, let's start with that. What are some other games that you played before you played Third Strike?
Yeah, so I've dabbled in a lot of games. Like I played a little bit of Counter-Strike. I've played like some RuneScape or whatever the hell, right?
hell yeah.
But like really the biggest games that I've sunk the most amount of time into, I played a whole lot of StarCraft, like StarCraft 1 and 2. I'm like okay at those games. People are just too cracked, like I don't know. But I learned a good amount about the game. It's a lot of fun. I've played a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG, but like I kind of stopped playing around like 2013. They kind of like changed the game in a way that just made it unfun. So like I stopped playing that. But like the two games that I've sunk the most amount of time to are World of Warcraft Arena, like the PvP setting in the game, and then of course Melee. So like WoW, I've played like since high school, and like I like never stopped. I only haven't been playing WoW for like the last 2 years of my life or so. I just always played it. There's a lot of seasons that I finished pretty high on the ladder. It was like probably the game that I was the most competitive with. Playing all these different games really just kind of taught you, or it teaches you like what kind of work ethic you need to improve at games, like, and it teaches you how to learn from replays and like training tools or whatever, like doing things on your own, right? Because a lot of times, especially like back then when I was playing Melee, like the online was kind of bunk, right? So I couldn't play anytime I wanted to. And then WoW, you need teammates to play, right? So there's a lot of downtime that you can't necessarily be practicing. And I feel like I learned a good amount about like how to like learn about people's strategies from watching videos and practicing situations on my own, playing those games so much. And there's a lot of concepts about those games that kind of like cross over to any other game, right? Like trying to understand what your opponent's thinking based off of what they're doing in the game, right? Like I guess a good example in Melee could be like if I see someone like whiffing moves and then crouching, like in that game, like if you hold down, like you can like counterattack people after they do certain moves to you. So like I can kind of like see if someone is like choosing to reveal what they want to do before I commit to something. And yeah, just things like that. You kind of like learn how to take what you can and like boil down like how to create a strategy out of it, and then you can kind of like move that to any other game. Still working on Third Strike though. This game is exceptionally difficult, I'll say.
Difficult.
Okay, what makes it? You just listed a lot of games that a lot of people play competitively. There, games like StarCraft 2 and Smash Brothers Melee. These are considered pretty hard games to get into, right? There's big execution barriers, but you said Third Strike's one of the hardest. What makes Third Strike hard compared to those games?
Yeah, so Third Strike is not like this crazy execution heavy game, like it's not like I'm like practicing all like these one frame things that I'm doing like as fast as I can in Melee, or like I need like fucking like 300 APM moving all around the map in StarCraft or whatever the hell, right? Third Strike's so difficult because the decision space is so massive in the game because of parry, right? Like you're allowed to buffer parries before you choose to like make certain decisions, and sometimes that can be like really positive risk reward. Like let's say that I'm parrying at a range where like only certain moves can hit me, so I'm choosing to parry there because it's not very punishable. And there's other times where sometimes it's just the correct choice to do because you know your opponent's tendencies and you've played them so much. And I feel like because the decision space is so massive because of parry, there's a lot of times where you get like lost in the sauce, so to speak, right? Like you get confused and you're not necessarily sure if you're right or wrong depending on the outcome. And I feel like that really elevates the strategic depth of Third Strike in a way that not a lot of other games can replicate.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's interesting, and I think you're touching on something that I felt for a long time. I've got little pieces floating in my mind about it. Like, I feel like Third Strike's decision space, as you called it, is somewhat ambiguous, right? Like, when you teach this game to up and coming players, I feel like one of the important things to do is to say, like, here's some guiding principles, but also recognize that there's always exceptions to every principle. And right, like there can be I should make this decision based on the game state, or I've noticed this player's tendency, but then at the end of the day, you also have the element of like, well, I can always parry, I can always guess, and so maybe you doing the most obvious move based on the game state is the wrong thing, right? Because it's anyone would do that there, so I can just guess.
There's plenty of times where the correct choice will get you blown up because you can parry.
Yeah, and so you're always on this edge of like, okay, there's never a surefire answer. And I kind of remember Kuroda talking about this in some interview years ago. It was like on some stream, but he was saying like it's really hard to like say what the right thing to do is sometimes, or like who will win, because like there's always that element of it. And Kuroda, of course, is a player who has really boiled down the game to like minimal, like he's super defensive, like mistake free. And even he's like, okay, it's just kind of an ambiguous game, which I thought was interesting.
He's always revered as like the most like correct player, right? Like the most ideal player, the way that he plays the game. But even he doesn't have it all figured out, right?
Yeah, just because of, like the system basically is designed in a way where like there's never a 100% right answer. At the end of the day, and you hear this all the time, especially among old heads. I feel like it was more common among old heads of like, they attack you on your wake up, you parry it, you kill them, and they're like, why would you do that? Explain that to me, right? I've said that to Ray a couple times. Explain to me what is your thought process. And the answer is, at the end of the day, it's like, fuck, I just knew you were going to do that, so fuck you, right? And that can be a valid answer in this game.
Well, I think that's why it's like
Third Strike...
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Rand.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so hard for people who didn't start with Third Strike to get into this game. Like, if you talk to a lot of traditional Street Fighter players, when they try to play Third Strike, they're like, what the fuck is this game? And it's like, yeah, bro, you can't just lock me down in the corner with your fucking fireballs. Like, I don't want to, I can get out of that. I can parry, So it's so hard for them to transition into games, but also like vice versa too, right? Like, I'll play other games, like I'll play Street Fighter 2 or CVS 2 or something, and I'm like, this is bullshit. Why do I know you're gonna do this. Why do I gotta hold this?
Yeah, why do I have to hold this bullshit and like, know it's coming?
You know what you're gonna do. I know what you're gonna do, and I can't do anything to stop it because I just gotta hold it. And that's the way the game is. So I think that's why like the people who love Third Strike and got into it and play it, like they hold it at such like high regards. It's just because it feels so good. But the people who like try to get into it later on and they don't quite get it, or they're used to playing other fighter games, are just like, this is stupid. You guys are just guessing, like, So great game though, best game.
It's interesting how people talk about it, right? Like the 101 reason for hating Third Strike, among some of the old heads was like, well, if you jump at me and I waited and I assure you should just get anti-aired. The fact that you can parry that anti-air is bullshit. And we can explain that like in Third Strike anti-air is more of like a mix-up scenario, and there's a lot of stuff you can do to mix up your anti-airs. And that's like, that mindset shift, I think, is something is different between the two. Also, I kind of feel like, how do I say it? Like, often when you play a good player in Third Strike and you like get them with something they didn't expect, right? Oh, they really weren't looking for that one. There's like almost like oh, you got me, right? Like, caught you slipping. Okay, no, that was good. You got me. Like, I was not looking for that option right there. It's more like, okay, calling out your opponent's next move and playing within the constraints of the system, but in the ambiguity as well. And you're kind of just trying to like read your opponent's mind and be like, okay, what are they not thinking about right now?
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that a lot about Third Strike. How it's very player versus player oriented, right? Like to your point, you were saying like, oh, like I feel like when I have to beat this guy, I have to catch him. I have to catch him slipping. You know, like I have to do some kind of move in a circumstance where my opponent's not expecting it. And I feel like Third Strike really sells that player versus player component to you really early on, right? Like you can't just go for like a sequence that like seems good to you or like on paper, you know, it's positive risk reward and then just rinse that offense over and over again. Like you must engage with your opponent's defense and you must punish him for making decisions at times where you know that they're going to, right? I think a really good example of this is like I was talking to Yi like 2 years ago, like the last time we had the Jazzy finale, and I asked him like, when do I throw characters that it's like a bad idea on paper to go for this throw on, right? So like I guess the most obvious example is like Urian's in the corner and he's got enough bar to hit you with an Aegis setup, and I've knocked him down, right? Like when do I throw him? Because like on paper it seems like an awful ideal to me, right? Like I go up and I try to throw him and I'm point blank in his face and I'm exposing myself to like all this risk. He could wake up headbutt, he could unblock me off that, he's gonna back throw me into the corner and then like put a sweet spot Aegis on me and like put me in this awful situation. But at the end of the day, if your opponent is just holding guard and sitting there and defending, you have to take advantage of that and you have to call them out for it. And I feel like that's a good way of kind of representing how in Third Strike, you have to go against the grain of what risk reward tells you. You have to make bad decisions on paper at the appropriate time when your opponent reveals that they're vulnerable to them. And I like that a lot about the game.
Yeah, and we talked about it some in on King's Exodus's episode too, like the core like comparison to poker almost, right? Because like
Yeah.
in poker, sometimes you can go all in with a like this is a shitty hand. It's not gonna work. Like, but it's because they're not expecting it and they fold.
Yeah.
You win. Like
I
there is
ran this situation, you know,
Yeah.
like 5 times in the last like 2 rounds with my opponent, and I know what he likes to do after that, right?
Yeah.
I know what he likes to do. So I'm going to choose something that might otherwise be a pretty dumb choice or whatever, right? But like I'm gonna get a lot of value out of it because I know what you want to do.
Yeah, and then people are also like, well, you're comparing it to gambling, right? So it's like random. And I was like, no, it's not, because even if you look at poker, like there's top players that are winning consistency, right? Like you can't
Yeah.
just go into every round and be like, okay, I'm gonna gamble on this situation. I'm just gonna gamble and gamble and gamble. It's like no, eventually you're gonna lose. Like you can't just go all in on every single situation and bet like that because they'll call you out for that shit. It may work one time. You may win a game here and there because of it, but like you can't constantly gamble in that regard. So that's
That's
what I
you can't
like.
just always engage in like garbage decisions and come out on top with it,
Yeah,
right?
like
Like
you'll
it
win
has
a
to be
game.
calculated for a reason.
Yeah, you may win
And,
a
like-
game here and there, but like you're not going to be a top player. You're not going to be consistent off just gambling all the time. And I think that's what a lot of people
Yeah.
don't understand about Third Strike. Is like they'll play once and they're like, oh well, fuck, he just did wake up parry and I lost the round and this game's stupid. Like he just guessed on that. It's like yeah, but he's not going to do that every single time. Like and play around that. So, yeah.
And to your point about like the randomness, like you know, there is a little bit of that in Third Strike, right? Like the game has really high damage output, and like some of the set play situations are really fucked up. That like you know, like even if someone is better than you, you can like steal games off of them sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But like to beat them reliably, you do need to have like some kind of like game plan that is positive in like terms of like risk versus reward, right? You have to make good decisions, and yeah, I think something that a lot of other people from other games say all the time is how random parry is, but like I feel like every decision you make in fighting games is sometimes just a guess, right? Like if I'm walking forward at my opponent and like we're like in the ground game, you know, kind of like mid range or whatever, like that's a guess, right? Like if my opponent decided to at the same time walk forward and then hit a low move on me, it's gonna hit me. If I choose to throw a fireball at someone in ST and they jump at me, like that was a random decision that like I engage with, right? Like it's not like I made like this flawless decision all the time that's like perfect and like there's no way to punish it and like it's optimal and correct every single time. I feel like people overstate how much of that is in other games compared to Third Strike. But,
Can I spit a little bit of knowledge at ST real quick though?
yeah, go ahead.
I don't ever want to hear an ST player say Third Strike's random. Like you guys don't get to say that shit. Your
yeah,
entire
in the game with like
your
random
entire
stun and random
fucking
damage values
game
and shit,
is
right?
random. The stun's random. Fucking stages are random. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
4 frames faster, 2 frames. Get the fuck out of here with that. But
But it's more than just ST players that say that, right? Like the modern
yeah,
day Free
but
Fire players are like, oh, I don't want to play Third Strike because it's just so random. Like you can't anti-repair people in the game, right? Like like a whole bunch of other games say that shit.
I really don't want to hear it from ST players. You guys just gotta shut the fuck up.
Just
Like
putting
I
ST
love
on
you,
blast.
but like cut it out. All right, I don't want to hear it. It's just
You know.
love you, ST guys. You're cool. You're old with me, but anyway, continue.
It's interesting to touch on that. I think, and that's where those guiding principles that I mentioned earlier kind of come back into play, right? Like there are frameworks of decision making in this game where it's like, okay, this makes a lot of sense, and it should be the bulk of your decision making, right? Like
Yeah.
this game is not about guessing your opponent's move every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of situations where risk reward kind of guides the day, and if you're ignoring it too much, like you're going to lose majority, and there is some randomness within that majority, right? Like poker, there's some randomness within it, but on the long term, that's where it really you're going to see the results. I'm reminded of a quote from Pyro Lee like many years ago, where he just said like third strike's not a game where you win every time, right? And I think I've always thought that's always stuck with me because I think it's basically correct. Like you said, there's high damage output in this game. There's some guessing in this game. In the short term, you're not going to win every time. You're not going to win every 2 out of 3. In the long term is where you kind of see the trends. And if you play fundamentally sound and you're always improving on your fundamentals and your decision making, you're going to win more and more. It's in the fringes. Yeah, it's in the fringes where the guessing kind of like, but in this individual game though, right? Things can go a different way, and that's where tournaments are exciting because, like, okay, maybe my level and decision making versus your level and decision making, maybe this is the expected outcome most of the time, but in that 2 out of 3 in that tournament that day, crowd going wild, right? Here's a chance to do something really cool, right? And that's the fun of tournaments. Okay, so moving on to the next question. So I would say we've kind of had like a crop of new players in the last 5 years. You've been one of the players who's kind of had a pretty fast track of improvement. There's been a few others as well, not just you. But you are certainly one of the people who's improved pretty rapidly in the last 4 or 5 years. What would you say are some of the things that have helped you to get where you are? Who made you what you are today?
I don't know if I've improved all that fast. There's definitely people that have improved way faster than me. But number one, the biggest thing is our local scene, obviously, right? Like I'm able to play this game offline, communicate with people like every week. I'm able to play all the time, and having access to players around my skill level, above my skill level, and below my skill level, I think is very important to the learning process. Trying out new things against like weaker opponents, learning the flaws in your strategy against higher level opponents, right? I think that's all invaluable to kind of like refining your game and like and developing your strategies. When I was first starting, coming up with Jackson, we used to play all the time, and really more than just playing. We would like training mode situations, right? I would be like, oh, like I was playing Bin, and like in the corner after I did like close medium punch, he did this. Like let's lab this situation out and let's practice it, and then going back in and playing someone else, I'd be ready to execute that because I had someone that would training mode with me to work on that specific situation. I could overcome it next time in the game against someone. So that was invaluable, of course. Fightcade, being able to play online all the time. I used to play online a lot more than I do now. I need to get back to it, but that was pretty helpful. And then Yuki living here, being able to bounce ideas off him all the time, and just learning like these like niche punish situations and like set play stuff that really like only he has that like I'd be able to learn from, right? Like there's no one else that would be able to teach me some of the stuff that he has. You moving here, Lance, you were really invaluable to getting us to be more competitive, like starting the first of 5 nights, giving us a goal to work towards, like a player that we would strive to beat. And then also, I feel like you're good at articulating I feel like you're good at articulating how to navigate like the risk reward of the game, like we were talking about, just a couple of minutes ago. Like, why is this a good decision? Like, this is why you should do this in this situation, because the game state is at this point. Your opponent is at this point in the screen. The timer's at this. You have this life lead. You have this amount of meter. Your opponent has this amount of meter. You know, understanding the context of the game state and navigating my strategy with that in mind, I feel like you've been like the biggest, you know, determining factor in that.
Oh, interesting.
Nika KO as well. You know, like the last year and a half or so, 2 years, he's been way more active talking with the Dallas scene and getting his perspective on the game is, you know, it's incredibly unique as well. You know, like I learned so much from him that I wouldn't be able to get from you or Yuki, right?
Yeah.
I feel like his like philosophy of the game of like I want to go first more than my opponent does. I want to set the pace of the game. Learning how to do that from him, not that I'm really that good at it yet. I want to be a lot better at it, but that's been a really influential factor in learning as well.
Yeah, I like that answer. You know, especially the part about me. That was the best one. But no, I think, and I've kind of touched on this a couple times before when I've talked to other people about it, is that kind of got to find mentors that speak your language, and then also no mentor has everything, right? Like everyone had their own path to get to where they are, and their understanding or what they really emphasize and how they talk about the game is very different, right? There's people who talk about psychology, people who talk about, you know, game state and risk reward. There's people who just talk about like, you know, like go fuck that guy up, punch him in the mouth, right?
Yeah.
Then they're like super technical players, right? Like Yuki can explain, oh, okay, like in this situation, you can do this move, and then like they have to do this or this to get out of it, right? A lot of very specific knowledge where it's like, okay, if I want to know like how a setup works, like Yuki's my guy.
Yes. Yeah.
And these are all great players, right? It's not to say one way of talking about the game is better than another, but it's all different. And so when you surround yourself with different mindsets, okay, let me ask this guy what he thinks. Let me ask this guy what he thinks. You're growing your social circle of people. Like that kind of helps because everyone has something to offer you. And of course, depending on how you learn, of course, you're going to get some from more people than others. But
yeah, absolutely. You know, like Yuki is not the same as Nika KO, you know, and like not to say like one player is better than the other, or like this philosophy is correct and this one isn't. It's just their understanding of the game and their view of the game has brought them to where they are, and they have different skill sets that I can take little bits and pieces from each of them, right? And you know, it takes a village, so to say, and I'm pretty fucking dumb, so I need all the help I can get.
yeah. And there's some people who are unteachable like Ray, but
Can't show me nothing, Lance.
yeah. Okay, so you're on this path, you know, you're in Dallas. You've been playing a lot, you've been improving. What is your end goal with this game? Where do you want to end up?
I'm not sure if I have an end goal. I would say, like, just putting it into words, I want to be as good as I can possibly be, and I don't think I'm anywhere near that point yet. Like, every year that I look back at my old gameplay, I feel like I've improved a lot. You know, like there's always something like tangible in my game that I'm trying to work on. Like right now, I'm trying to work on preventing people from walking forward. You know, like I'm trying to like learn how to use my pokes in a way that like catches people for walking forward at me, and then also uh guarding quicker after like walking forward at someone, like using that more like in my ground game to my advantage. So like, and every single month and every single year that goes by, there's more and more of these things that I've like added to my tool set, and I've always felt that like improvement is a compilation of your skill sets. You know, it's not like, oh, I got to get like way better at using this one move in like this one circumstance, and like there's an element of that for sure. You can always be better at like individual components of your game, but I feel like what really, you know, pushes you to that next level, or where you really see more results, is when you add a bunch of different things to your game and you learn a bunch of different new things. So I would say my end goal is to just be as good as possible and keep learning. As far as like results goes, like results goals, you know, I'd like to win a big tournament someday, you know, at least one in the States, right? Like where it's more than just the Dallas guys, you know, be able to beat people all around the country. And I don't think I'm really there yet, but that's something that I'd like to work towards.
Okay. Okay, reasonable. Be the best version of you can be.
Yeah.
Someday win the big one. I like it. Speaking of these out-of-state players, you've traveled a few times for Third Strike. You traveled to Frosty Faustings with me a couple years ago. Texas Showdown last year. Jazzy Finale this last year. Kind of tell me about your experiences traveling for Third Strike. We can go down to specifics into each event if you want. But yeah, tell me about those experiences. What did you get out of them?
Yeah. So, like I was saying earlier, there's always like whenever I go to play the game, there's something that I have in mind that I want to work on, right? And tournaments are no exception to that, and traveling is no exception to that. But being able to experience all these different styles of play that I wouldn't normally hear in Dallas, really just kind of like makes me rethink some of the decisions that I make, right? Like maybe some habits that I have against you or against Ray or something, like I get a lot of value out of it, or I've developed a habit around it without realizing it. And I feel like playing other people helps expose that. And, it kind of like pushes you in the right direction, because if your gameplay isn't adequate for the entire field, then that means there's a hole in your strategy somewhere, or there's something that you're not considering when you're fighting a certain character. And traveling and playing offline with all these different people really kind of gets you that kind of experience in a way that nothing else would. It's been cool traveling and like being able to play like a bunch of different like really good players and like try my best against them like during casual matches. What else can I say about traveling? It's really motivating. Having these events that people all travel to and everyone goes to, it's something to work towards, and it makes me want to play the game and practice more and get the most out of these tournaments that I possibly can when I do spend the money and my time to travel. I want to make sure that I'm like reaping as much out of it as I possibly can.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think there's a lot of nice parts of coming up in Dallas, I think, but one part that maybe we're a little weak on is that we are all tier horse, and when you're in Dallas, you learn how to play about 6 to 7 matchups.
Yeah.
But you go to, say, for instance, the Midwest, which is a very high volume of mid-tier or low-tier players.
Boofies and Elenas and shit, right?
Yeah.
That's tough, right? That's complete something maybe you just don't have that much experience with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think to your point earlier, as far as like, sometimes it's hard to tell, am I doing the right thing and I'm winning more, or am I just doing the right thing in this meta? Like, am I improving as an overall general player? Is my decision making becoming more sound, or am I just kind of like figuring out how to hit Yuki sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And that's where traveling is really useful. Kind of like, okay, let's try what I do versus other people. How does it work?
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing about this game, right? It's just the character expression, right? There is no right or wrong. Like, I mean, there's some wrong options. I'll take that back. But when it comes to playing, like, you can be very expressive with the way you play the character. So it's like, yeah, I'm playing Sunny Ken constantly, and I feel like, okay, I'm improving against Ken. But then I play a different Ken, and he's showing options like I talk about it all the time with Dudley, right? Oh, this Dudley's a short guy, or this Dudley's a dart shot guy. Like, just kind of getting into those tendencies. So traveling is like hard, right? Because then you're like, okay, well, I'm used to Dudley doing these options, and then I play against some Dudley who does this, and it's like, the fuck was that? Like, no, I haven't been preparing for that because no one's been doing that this whole time. So, but yeah, that's what's the beautiful thing about Third Strike. It's just the character expression and getting to travel and like experience that in other scenes.
Yeah, and really, it's just something that you wouldn't get outside of playing these players offline.
Yep.
And getting to like run a whole bunch of games with them, in a setting where we have hours and hours of play, and tournaments are really like the biggest opportunity for that.
Yeah, I've always thought that as well. I've always felt that tournaments are a good opportunity for everyone just to come together in the same room for 3 days, and just grind with each other, right? That's to me, that's always been the value. It's cool to perform well in tournaments, and I understand a lot of people are like, okay, tournament is the only thing that matters. It's like that's why I show up. I play in these tournaments, and that's the results are what matter to me. For me, it's been a little bit less of that, I would say, over the years. So it's more like, okay, I just want to play these guys in casuals, see how I do versus them, and then also just absorb what I can from playing them. Like, I've always felt a big power up after like a really good weekend surrounded by good players, for sure.
Yeah, same here. Same here. And I would say that's like the main goal when I go to travel, right? Like it's nice to get good wins or results or whatever, right? Like still waiting on those, but uh uh really like the biggest thing that I get out of traveling and going to tournaments is, just playing as many games as possible with as many good people as I can. And to your point, like I always feel like that level up, maybe it's not always reflected in my gameplay, but like you leave with ideas to work on, things that you can develop in the coming months.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now you've had some good results a couple times. Like for instance, you traveled to Frosty a couple years ago, and you made top 8 that year.
Yeah, I did.
So that was a cool moment, right? That was maybe one of your first big like, okay, I went to a different tournament and I placed pretty well. So what was that like? What did you feel?
Um, it just felt like I was playing my game, like none of the players that I beat or lost to were out of my reach, I felt like. And it just kind of felt like my game plan came together and I performed well enough to reflect that in the results. So it was good to get that kind of like, like external validation from that, right? Um, I played Face there. I hadn't beaten him in tournament before then, the Makoto player.
Yep.
And I felt pretty confident about my Makoto match coming up after that tournament. I lost to KDE and I lost to Tough Gnarl, the Elena player.
Sure.
KDE at the time was too tough for me. Like the Dudley matchup was something that like I wasn't adequately prepared for, and the only Dudley that I really had experience with that was that a player like better than me at the time was Alex here in Dallas. And Alex is very different than other players you're gonna play. Like he's gonna rip corkscrew on your block and he's just gonna do it again. Like you're gonna anti-air him 3 times in a row and he's still gonna jump and do early jump roundhouse. Like you're not gonna discourage this player, and he's going to engage with a lot of risk, right? And so like not every Dudley is gonna play that way, right? So it's good to be able to travel and like experience these things.
Can you kind of
Yeah.
talk
And
about can you kind of talk about traveling to a different scene and playing not on home turf? Because I know like when people come to Dallas, like if you're gonna play one of us, you're playing all of us, bro. Like
Yeah.
like if you're an out of towner, you're playing you may be playing Sunny, but there's 8 other people behind Sunny hyping him up,
yeah,
fucking cheering.
all
for
cheering me
every-
on. Lance is saying like, "Hey, this guy's jumping here," like
Yeah.
or whatever the fuck, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you may
Little-
hit
little bit
one,
of
you may
everything
hit
going
the
on.
sickest combo and it's fucking dead silent, and then they land like
Yeah.
a low forward and the crowd goes
Yeah,
crazy.
I do
right?
like low strong
Yeah,
and Jin
just like,
Ryan, like
oh
everyone's going
shit.
nuts.
But how is that like traveling to other scenes, right? Where maybe you don't have that type of support and you're the outsider and nobody there wants you to win, right? Like, how do you kind of
Yeah.
overcome that situation?
Well, obviously it's gonna make you nervous. Like you're hearing everyone root on their boy, and you're on the other side of the cab, and like no one cares how you're doing, right? Like you're in Chicago, and they're all grouped up and cheering each other on, and like they're not doing anything wrong, obviously, right? Like
That's what you
that's
should do.
expected. Playing off of your home court, like you were saying, and it's just another external factor that you have to deal with. But ultimately, like I feel like your goal should be play your game, try as much as you can to not let other external factors get in the way of your decision making, and focus as much on the moment as you can. Like if you start thinking about like, oh, like this guy's saying I suck on the other side, and like getting in your feelings about it, like you're wasting your mental stack thinking about this shit that just doesn't matter. This guy's whiffed crouching medium kick in front of your face 3 times in the last 10 seconds, and you're not thinking about that because this other guy's just screaming for his boy, right? But like, I feel like the way that I have always dealt with it is just, remind myself that I'm here playing a game, right? Like, I have a strategy that I've worked on that I want to execute against this player, and just take that moment to realize that I'm thinking about something else to reorient my attention to the match at hand.
Very good.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think you're not quite there yet in terms of like being the visiting villain, right? I feel like if you went to
right on.
a different scene, and there would be some cheering for you, right? Like, obviously they want their home guy to win. They don't hate you yet. Like you get eventually you arrive at that point where everyone just fucking wants you to lose, right?
Well, I would hope never.
Lance experiences that here on his home turf.
I am the only player where my home scene roots against me and actively roots for the visiting player, you beat me. Yeah, having Bubbles visit and the crowd was behind him in my own home
Right.
arcade.
Get
Insane.
him, Bubbles. Get him, Bubbles.
That's insane. You guys have no understanding of home scene patriotism. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's a little
No,
off.
we should maybe settle down a little bit on that.
Did you lose though? Did you lose?
One day I will, and I'm going to blame you.
You're gonna blame me regardless, Lance.
So if Ray had rooted for me, that would have been the difference. Okay. What is your favorite Third Strike memory, or maybe like a moment in time of Third Strike you were involved in? What stands out to you?
So Showdown 2019 was a really great memory for me. That was like the first tournament that I traveled to for the game. Having all the Dallas boys come out and travel, go to this big tournament where all we're doing all day for 3 days is playing Third Strike.
Mhm.
And I had never really experienced that before with Third Strike until then. That tournament's always stuck with me. All the players that traveled there were pretty excited to see that new people were starting to play the game, and me being one of them. Everyone was like down to give me advice or like tell me things about the game, like, hey, you actually can't punish that doing what you're doing, or like when I do this, you can use this move and it hits me, right? Like I felt like a level of camaraderie with Third Strike that I haven't really felt with other games, and I feel like this community is really special in that regard.
Why do you think that is? Why is Third Strike? Is it because we're smaller?
I think that might have something to do with it, honestly. Like, you guys have a tight knit community in a way that a lot of other games don't have to rely on. Like, you don't have millions of online players on Capcom or CFN or whatever, right? That like, oh, you're replaceable, right? Like, if you quit, I don't care. Like, we have like a bunch of other online guys that are eventually going to show up and play in our tournaments. Third Strike doesn't have that, right? Like, a new player joins the scene and you either hook them into the game in the community or they leave and they go do something else, right? Like, so I think that plays a big part in the level of camaraderie that's in Third Strike.
Yeah, you touched on a good point there. I think offline is like, since offline is considered the best way to play this game, I think it builds a tighter knit community, right? Like,
Yes.
you have to go travel somewhere with your friends to go play this game, or without friends
Yeah.
and then make friends. Like, it encourages you to go offline, meet people, talk to people, have interactions versus just like, oh, this is fucking Joe Blow 420 69 on Fightcade. I'll play
Yeah.
this guy, and then all right, on to the next one. Like, there's no reason to get out of my underwear or leave my computer. Like, you actually have to go interact with human beings, which I feel
Yeah.
is different from a lot of games, especially the newer games, right? Like, I think our locals
Yeah,
here.
you never have to leave your house, even as a competitive player. There's all these online tournaments, like a lot of really there's like Capcom Cup points on the line for some of these online tournaments, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I even just here locally in Dallas, I remember when I was trying to get into 5 when that game came out. Like, there's no one fucking playing that game offline. Like, no one. I mean, no one should be playing that game. Let's just put that out there. But
Goddamn,
But when it
Chance.
comes to play, like, there was no one playing that game offline. Like, even here with
Yeah.
6, I feel like our just meetups or locals or whatever, like, we have more players playing offline than the modern games do. Like, as far as people showing
Yeah,
up
absolutely
consistently
we
to
do.
play. And I think that's just because offline's the best way to play Third Strike. I mean, just what it is, boys. Sorry.
Yeah,
So
having an offline community to interact with just totally changes the way that you that you play the game and how you interface with it. Like, it's just totally different than any kind of experience you would get offline and or online rather. It's you can't compare it to anything else that you would experience with an online community.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's weird, when you think about it. Third Strike's this game where the established players have always been very picky forever, right? Like, I don't even want to play on PS2, right? Like, it's not even online versus offline. It's like I want to play on an arcade, Japanese cabinet, on CPS3. Like, that's the right way to play the game. And people's opinions about online in this game, kind of the range is not like, oh, it's good or it's bad, or it's real or it's not. That's not the range, right? The range is like, it's okay for learning matchups, but it's not the same as arcade and it's not real. And the other side of the spectrum is it's fucking terrible, right? That's the range in which we exist in Third Strike. So by necessity, if you really want to prove yourself, if you want to kind of find out if you're legit, or if you want to want this to gain the respect of your peers, you know, you have eventually you have to make your way to a big offline Third Strike tournament
Great.
and to prove
Yeah.
your mettle. And in
You really
doing
do.
so, you end up meeting these people in real life. And so even though we're all kind of interspersed throughout the United States, at least once a year, kind of see all these people, right? And there's a certain camaraderie that goes with that, where you know, it's a small enough scene that everyone kind of knows each other's names. If you're an up and comer player that's got some kind of talent, people kind of know you're on people's radar to some extent. They know who you are, and then you get to see them, and that's different from other bigger games with better net play. Uh, you know, because I mean, like you can't like join the melee community and like hang out with Mango. You know, like you're not gonna be talking
Yeah.
to him after your game or whatever. But that's
You
a
can
real
give him your
possibility.
money and he'll say your name on his stream.
You know, and that's I kind of want to do that myself. I kind of want
Well,
to monetize you people. So stay tuned for that.
well, even when it comes to playing
Friends
online,
OnlyFans.
right? Like even
Yeah.
online players, like the top players, it's like kind of small, right? So if you like, if I hop online and I play and I know who I'm playing and they know who I'm playing, like fuck, it's already something. You know what I mean? It's not fucking like a friendly, casual game at that point. It's like I know who this guy is. He knows who I am. We gotta fucking duke it out, right? Like you can't just go online. I mean, you can on Fightcade anonymously, which a lot of people do, which I may dabble in on occasional as well. But like even when you're hopping online, dude, it's fucking it's go time. You know, if you're on your main account.
Yeah.
So
Your alts are not tricky though, Ray, because you just use the same email address for
Yeah,
all of
right.
them.
We just see Bear. Everyone sees Bear. They go,
Your dog.
Hey,
Like, oh, I wonder who that is.
people gotta know about Bear, dude. Shout out to
Gootech did no wrong.
That's not me, dude. That's not
no,
me.
yeah, brother.
That's not me.
January 6th.
That's not me. It's me.
But I really love that about Third Strike, how uh, Third Strike really tries to keep that kind of like cultural tradition of like only offline. Offline is what really matters.
Yep.
You know, like I feel like as we move on in fighting games and as time passes and you know online becomes like more and more of a thing, you know, like offline tournaments and like local scenes and you know like events that people go to, it's becoming less and less of a thing in wake of just playing at home and you know like joining a voice chat or whatever, right? And I don't like that. I feel like it's very important to preserve offline communities, and I feel like Third Strike is doing a great job with that.
Yeah. I mean, even from a gaming standpoint nowadays, right? Like, there's no couch co-op games anymore, right? Like, you're not
Yeah.
encouraged to like sit on your couch with your friend and just play the fucking game. Like, go online, you know, do that or whatever. Like, you know, no human interaction. So, and
Yeah.
even with Third Strike 2, it's so much fun to be like, okay, there's an event coming in 3 months. We're all gonna travel there. The whole scene's going. It's like almost like a vacation with your friends with Third Strike spliced in. So, yeah, offline.
Yeah,
is
and
the way-
I wouldn't trade those opportunities for anything that a modern game could provide me.
Fuck Street Fighter 6. Sorry. My hater, old man. All right.
Okay, so that's pretty much all the main plan questions I had for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to transition to some chat questions and turn it over to Ray to kind of handle the chat questions and our rapid fire portion. I did see a question from Donka earlier. Ray, did you catch that one?
Yeah, I did. So question for Sunny here. Compare characters on Melee to Third Strike characters. A common one is that Fox equal Yun. So let's just kind of go through
Okay.
the list here. I'm gonna name off a character. You're gonna tell me who
Okay.
that character is in Smash.
Yeah, Fox is definitely young. Like, let's get one thing straight.
Okay. Ken.
I feel like Ken's like Sheik.
Sheik. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Ken's like Sheik because he doesn't have the range of the other like kind of like rounded base top tier and Chun-Li, right? But he can scrap, right? Like he's very strong up close. Like his throw offense is really good. Like he gets a lot of damage off of like opening you up when he's close to you. And I feel like that's very similar to Sheik in a lot of ways. You know, like you want to be close and like make people deal with forward air. Like you want to be close and like crouch in front of someone's face. Like I feel like that's because a lot of people always say like, oh, Ken is Marth, but like I feel like Ken is Sheik, and I feel like Chun is Marth.
Okay, why is Chun Marth?
Chun's Marth because she has like the best fucking range in the game. She has like ridiculous damage, right? And like she can kind of just like out button you forever.
Yeah, requires the
Marth.
most skill of any character as well, so
Yeah.
similarity.
KD said Marth is Chun as well. So
Yeah, yeah. This is just objectively true.
my
What about
person-
Falco?
Ooh, Falco.
Falco. Maybe Falco's Yang.
Okay, why?
Falco's Yang in the way that like he gets to play aspects of the movement in the game that other characters don't, much like Fox, but he doesn't have like the same damage output as Fox. Like he kind of has to like create a situation where like you are DIing in a way or like trying to guard in a way that is, you know, like you're feeding them some mix up that they think is coming that's not. And I feel like Yang is like kind of similar in that regard. You know, like you want to EX slash someone at a time where like they're low parrying. You want to delay a crouching medium kick into slashes at a time where like people are going to be leaving guard, right? And I feel like that's more akin to Falco.
Let's talk about my
What about
personal favorite.
Peach?
Peach.
Oh, Peach. I'm not sure Peach has an equivalent.
There's no
Peach is
one
fucked up, dude. She
brainless
doesn't,
enough.
like, no recovery on anything.
Yeah, there's no one brainless enough in Third Strike to be Peach. Fucking shots fired, but fuck you, Peach players. Just down smash ass motherfuckers.
What about the climbers, bro?
Am I wrong, Sonny? Am I wrong?
Oh,
Peach, but
Makoto or the climbers?
okay,
Makoto?
that one seems obvious. That one's a
Yeah,
gimme,
Of
right?
course.
Hell
Now is that's with wobbling.
Yeah. SA2 is like wobbling legal, and then Seichu Sen is like wobbling banned.
Okay. Which wobble should be legal? Everybody knows.
Yeah,
this.
we-
can all agree on this.
Can we get Sonny on record to agree that wobbling should be legal in Melee?
Next question.
All right, Alex. Who's the Alex character?
Maybe like Donkey Kong or something, like someone that
Hell
sucks
yeah,
but does
dude.
a lot of damage. Like
Hell
Donkey
yeah.
Kong's so sick. If I ever play Melee again, I'm playing Donkey Kong. Character is cool.
All right. All right. What else we got on the questions here? Do we have any other chat questions? I didn't see any. Chat, you guys got any questions before we move on to our normal rapid fire questions? All right, we're gonna move on to our normal questions and top five favorite games of all time.
ooh. So Third Strike number 1. You know, I wouldn't be playing this game right now and devoting all the time that I do if I didn't think it was the best game.
Putting you on the
StarCraft Brood
spot.
War.
Okay.
World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King.
Lich King, that's the one you're gonna go with. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to say Super Smash Brothers Melee. You know, like as much shit is wrong with that game, you know, like that game's in my very blood, dude. Like you cut me open, you're gonna see fucking Fox Reflector shine color blood coming out of me, dude, I swear. Let's see, number 5. Counter-Strike.
1.6 source, or are you some weirdo with like season?
Probably
or some
Global
shit?
Offensive, dude. I feel like Global
Go.
Offensive is the best Counter-Strike.
Okay. I dig it.
I was thinking about how it must have been a really difficult challenge for you to transition from StarCraft 2 to Third Strike, because we were kind of talking about how Third Strike's abstract and there's a big decision space, right?
Yeah.
Compared to StarCraft 2, where you play Terran and you literally just make
Oh my
green
God.
Marauder medevac tank over and over, and we call this skill. So it must have been kind of a transition for you.
Lance, there's more to RTS than the units that you create. It's about how you control the pace of the game. It's about how you control the map. But we'll save
Yeah.
that lesson for another time, okay?
Great.
Get a little bit better first, and then come back to me, and I'll teach you.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
Oh, we got another question for the chat here.
Oh yeah, KD. Yeah, top 3 favorite new players, less than 5 years.
Favorite new players.
Are we just gonna rifle through DFW right now?
I mean, I'm just gonna say like show Jason, Max, Alan, some combination of those 3, right? Because those are my fucking boys,
Maybe
right?
not so much.
Like
Allen.
I'm not. Fuck everyone else. Are we saying non-Dallas?
Yeah, let's go
You
non-Dallas.
can give me whatever you want.
Non-Dallas.
Let's go non-Dallas because you got to put Dallas
Okay.
first. But outside of them,
Jaywin, if he's been playing for less than 5 years. I like his
I
game a
think he's
lot.
been around a long time, hasn't he?
Jaylen's an OG.
Has he?
Yeah, he's
I don't
been
know.
playing like about as long as Face. I want to say like he's OG.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're new, and
Um,
by the Genki standard of like if you started in 2004, you're new.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, honestly. Okay. So the two like tri-state boys that I talk to all the time, Envy and Bubbles, like
Yeah.
got to be up there for sure. I really like talking to Bubbles about the game, obviously, because like we both have like a pretty like deep Smash background, so like we can kind of like communicate topics about Third Strike in a way that I can't really with anyone else, and I get a lot about talking about Third Strike with him.
Cool.
Envy's just the homie dude. Like
Yep.
every time he comes through to Dallas, like we're always hanging out and talking shit and like running sets, and you know he's a really dedicated player, and I respect that a lot. And then number 3, let's go Resolve.
Okay.
Resolve's
I would say you gotta
just
put
an
Resolve in that
inspirational
combo
player,
for
dude.
sure,
Like
dude.
he's so strong, dude. Like
Yum.
I want my defense to be at that level.
Yeah. Honorary mention Joyous. Love you, Joyous.
Joyous, I'll move you to top 3 when I meet you IRL. Come through. Come to our tournament.
Hell yeah. All right. Next question here. Dream co-op team. You gotta fucking put together 5 finest Americans you possibly can in order to get as far as.
Okay,
you can.
only American.
Yeah, just Americans.
Only American.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be like your 5 best. It could also be like the 5 people you want to team with. It's kind of however
Like
you
my
want to
boys,
answer the
right?
question. Yeah. Either you can answer it both
Okay.
ways if you want. Up to you.
Okay, so let's go with my boys first. So I'm gonna be on the team, right?
Of
Mhm.
course.
So I'll put Lance and Ray on there. Lance,
Thank
regrettably, but Ray's my fucking boy, dude.
you.
Always. We're always playing Coop.
Team Galactic
I got
Smoke Sesh.
EP on there.
Yeah.
You know, like someone's got to clutch these games out, dude. If we're making it anywhere, it's got to be EP on the team. And then number 5, I got to put Alex the Machine because no one's gonna hype this as the
Yes.
That's the 5.
This is basically our team last year from Jazzy, right? But with Neobon subbed out for Alex.
Nia
Calling in the
Von
reinforcements from France, right?
Yep.
He is from Paris, Texas.
Yep.
Okay, and then Dream American Coop
Yeah,
5.
you got to put together a team to win co-op
Okay,
with just Americans.
so obviously, any winning team from America is going to have Yuki Spencer. That's number
Hell
1.
yeah.
Number 2, 5-star,
Mm.
Yuang. Number 3, Pyro Lee. I've yet to play him, but every player that I respect that I've ever talked to about him tells me that he's the real deal. And the few amount of footage that I've seen of him recently, like on Boiler and stuff, I'm convinced he needs to be on that squad.
Okay.
Can I put Ryan?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
It's
you
your,
can.
your
Okay.
list.
Okay, Ryan, and then Nika KO.
Okay.
So you got 2
Ryan,
Yuns.
Nika, Yuki, 5-star, Pyro Lee. Yeah, a lot of twins on this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
2 Yuns, a Yang, a Chun, and a Ken. Very nice.
that's my team.
Super sick.
Okay,
super sick.
I like it.
All right. Question from Donka here. If you could be sick at any other fighting game, what would it be?
Marvel 2.
Marvel 2, really? Okay.
Marvel 2.
Okay. What would be your team in Marvel 2 if you're playing that shit?
I'm playing Thrax, dude.
Thrax.
Always top tier, dude. I'm zoning you out, man. I'm fucking super jumping in the corner of the screen. I'm building Meteor with Storm. I'm making you deal with fly, unfly, heavy kick with Sentinel, dude. Like, you're not having any fun.
Hell yeah. I don't know what anything you just said is, but
I like the part about not letting your opponent have fun. I feel like that's a very important part of competitive video
Yeah.
gaming.
Marvel.
Yeah.
Dude,
Suck the joy out of the game for your opponent.
Yeah.
I don't
I'm the one that has
understand
fun,
Marvel
not
2,
you.
bro. Like,
It's just so fast paced, and that's part of why if I wanted to be sick at another fighting game, I would want to play Marvel 2 because I want to appreciate and understand that game more.
I just know like there's a robot flying around and just booting the fuck out of everything. Like,
Yeah, and he's flying faster than you can dash on the ground, by the way.
just fucking smashing the boot down on people. Like, all right, cool. He's still stomping on some cactus character. This is a sick
Yeah.
game, so. All right. If you made a D&D character, what would your alignment be, and what is your class?
I'm gonna be honest, dude. I've never played D&D.
World of
I
Warcraft.
should at some point because it sounds hella fun to just fucking drink and play D&D, but I don't know. Like, I guess I'll be a mage because I mean mage and WoW.
What's your WoW
Yeah.
racing class? Let's just go with that. Easier.
Oh, dude, always human mage, dude. Like,
Mage. Oh, so
fuck
boring,
rogues,
Sonny.
dude.
So boring.
For the alliance.
Did we play a Dungeons and
Super
Dragons
Ritual
game
Broken,
in
dude.
Dallas?
What's up?
We could do a
Let's
D&D
play Dungeons
session.
and Dragons.
Yeah, we should.
I'd be down.
I don't know how to play it, but we'll find out.
It's
What if we
fucking
make up the
complicated.
rules?
It's complicated, dude, but it's fun. It's a good time.
Right.
All right. So, last question here. One player you have to pick to play for your life.
From life?
For your life, yeah.
Yeah, aliens come down.
Okay.
They want to kill you, and the only way that you can live is this one player plays one game to save your life. Who do you pick? Who's playing for you?
Can I pick a Japanese player?
No, only Americans. The Japanese don't care about you, and they'll let you die.
Japanese are better than the aliens, dude.
Yeah, we don't. They're not
Okay.
involved.
American player has to save my life. Yuki Spencer.
Wow. Okay.
Yuki Spencer.
Good call. Good call.
He's whooping that alien up, dude.
This is true.
I like it.
All right. Any closing thoughts or anything, Sonny, before we go ahead and wrap this podcast up?
Just remember, Third Strike Open this October 18th through 20th in Dallas at Arcade. Minimum of 6 cabs, maximum of 9. We're working on getting more as we speak. We're flying Genki out, and we're working towards funding of getting a second Japanese player. Come through. You do not want to miss this event. This is going to be an invaluable opportunity to improve as a player, I think.
Sick.
Cool.
All right, boys. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. Be on the lookout on Twitter for any updates. And then,
Yes.
Chosen, if you're watching this, get this fucking episode uploaded, buddy. So, all right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate you. All right, later.
Thanks for having me, guys.